Hey, what up, everybody? This is Jason Rogish. We'll make a quick video today. Donald Trump said that he wants to add $54 billion to the military budget, and he's going to cut some other agencies in the process. Of course, this is Mr. For every regulation that we create in the EPA, we must eliminate two. Now, can you imagine, just say, if you just said that in a business meeting somewhere, and you said, you know, for every new rule we make here, we're going to have to just get rid of two. So don't make any new rules and don't make any new regulations unless you're ready to get rid of two. That is the stupidest fucking thing, and it's a terrible way to approach a business. It would be a terrible way to approach your own life. It would be a terrible way to approach a government. It would be a terrible way to approach your anything, really. You don't do that. You don't, I mean, just a blanket statement. So he wants to add $54 billion into the military budget. We already spent over $600 million or $600 billion, so this will be around, it'll up it to about $700 billion for the United States military Pentagon, and that's without the allotments throughout the year. That's without line item budgets. That's just their official budget. It's the reason America is in the financial shape it's in. Well, two reasons. Number one, we spend entirely too much. The next closest country spends like $150 billion on their military. We spend too much on our military. All the military is a subsidy for high technologically advanced companies like Boeing, Raytheon, McDonnell Douglas, Texas Instruments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Siri, you know, Ray Kurzweil, that's how he made his money, and many, many others. Apple, Microsoft, companies you've never heard of. We give them billions of dollars to create weapons of mass destruction, guidance systems, planes, jets, boats, aircraft carriers. Aircraft carriers are billions of dollars. Jets are billions of dollars. All these jets, they'll allot $50 billion to build new F-22s or whatever the next fucking thing is that's out of date. And then we take the old ones and sell it to our enemies, or we sell it to our allies, and then our allies backdoor it and sell it to our enemies. This has been going on since the military-industrial complex really existed. Of course, Eisenhower's great speech about the military-industrial complex, even though he was one of the people that perpetuated it, he warned that every time a bomber's built, a school doesn't get built. Every time a weapon gets built, there is communities that suffer and don't get what they need. That's why we're in the shape. That and the fact that globally, corporations are sick with money. They're making record profits, and they're not reinvesting their money into higher wages, more labor. In fact, they're contracting a lot of their business. They're firing people. They're automating because they're not sure about the way the economy's going, and they never want to have to go through a 2008 or 2007 bailout situation again. So what they want is they want to hold on to the cash because they're more secure with holding on to the cash and not reinvesting it in higher wages, more employees, better working environment, etc. They'll automate. They'll do other things, and they'll just hold on to the cash. Those are the two main reasons. But really, it's the military-industrial complex. If we cut our military down to like $250 billion, you would then have, well, I don't know. I mean, do the math. $500 billion that you could influx the United States with right off the bat. Now you have 50 states, so you give those states right off the bat, $10 billion each. Can you imagine what $10 billion would do for a state like Alaska that I'm from, where we're cutting teachers because of low oil prices? Literally, we just laid off 28 teachers, and they're going to lay off probably, I don't know how many more. Oil prices aren't really projected to go up for the foreseeable future, and maybe they'll top out at 60, 65 a barrel, which will not help Alaska because at one point they were 150 a barrel and they lasted that way for quite some time, and then went down to 50 a barrel in 18 months. To up the military by $54 billion is Trump's idea. This is fascism. This is totalitarianism. This is to have a never-ending war economy that doesn't benefit the people. You do not benefit from the military, large S. Sorry, you don't. And the military is now, with this money, they're federalizing the police forces in a lot of ways, influxing them with cash and arms and tanks and things like that, riot gear and training. And also you have all of the other alphabet agencies that are federal law enforcement agencies, the DEA, sheriff's departments in some places. Not the sheriffs, but the marshal services. You have ICE. You have, again, ATF. You have the FBI. And many others that I'm forgetting. This is a terrible idea, obviously, because we need more money in the military like we need to hold our head. 60% of your federal tax dollars goes to the military. 60 fucking percent, okay? 6 out of every $10. It's choking us. It's putting us in debt that we can never pay back, which I'm all for government debt if it goes to the right things. I mean, I'm a modern money theorist, so I like the idea of government debt, not private debt. But to go into debt for the military-industrial complex, which, A, doesn't need it. The military does not need more money. Lest you forget that the Government Accounting Office just came out last year and said that the military had stolen $7 trillion since 2000. $7 trillion. What's the total world's economy? It's like 15 trillion? I mean, right? So they steal $7 trillion and nobody can do anything about it. Nobody's going to be able to prosecute anybody. Nobody's going to be able to hold anybody accountable. No generals, because they have the guns. Never forget, folks, anytime you start to buy into the idea that the military brings you freedom, it's the exact opposite. The military keeps you where you are. The military and the government's ability to make war not only on other people but its own people is what keeps you enslaved. The military-industrial complex enslaves the American people. And what I'm amazed at is all you alternative right people, conspiracy theory types, and I've made videos about this before, you're for an enlarged military budget. You're idle. The first thing that most conspiracy theorists, alt-right conspiracy theorists, will give you is Eisenhower's military-industrial complex speech. I mean, as an aside, it's the first scene in the movie JFK, Oliver Stone's movie JFK. He shows the speech of Eisenhower, and every conspiracy theorist loves that, and they talk about the military-industrial complex over and over and over again. And the conspiracy theorists were hoodwinked. They were tricked. They were bamboozled. They were led astray. They were misinformed. They were disinformed. They got so locked into Sandy Hook conspiracies, and they got so locked into school shooting conspiracies, and they got so locked into asshole conspiracy theories that could not be proven, had no basis of evidence, and you would take, how many people do we know on YouTube that are subscribed to my channel or are familiar with these channels that made Sandy Hook videos and got millions of views and have 40, 50, 100,000 subscribers from making Sandy Hook videos that are complete horse shit, right? Well, you know, Governor Malloy took a trip to the Middle East and it was all planned there. Or, you know, Jason, the FBI took over the scene there. Yeah, because it was the largest school shooting in American fucking history. So I have to look, and some of these people were my friends. They're not any longer because I can't deal with that level of ignorance and oversimplifications. And then they'll give you well, Jason, you know, you don't know. Give me the reason Sandy Hook happened. Quick. What to get mandatory mental examinations for every citizen, to lower gun sales, to get us so none of us can own firearms anymore, like Jim Fetzer claims. You know, I'm not talking about these people anymore because I made a decision about 6 months ago that I'm never discussing any of these people ever again. In fact, I parted ways with people who I was friends with because I couldn't stand their oversimplifications and ignoring anything that didn't fit their confirmation bias concerning these ridiculous conspiracies, therefore making all conspiracy theorists look like assholes. Oh, let's talk about JFK. Let's talk about 9/11. Let's talk about American foreign policy based on 9/11. Let's talk about what happened. You could even go to the moon landings. I know nobody wants to talk about the moon landings, but you could even ask the question, well, why has no other country ever gone to the moon, and why we haven't gone back in 45 years? It's the only technology not to be repeated. And you can have all those discussions, but then you start getting into school shootings. Oh, Columbine, you know, there was people on the roof of Columbine. No, there wasn't. But that's the problem. I'm a conspiracy theorist who has to weave through the stupid ass conspiracies. You know, Jason, Archon aliens. I mean, my whole Archon Pete bullshit on my channel. I made fun of Jay Widener and people like this, and who claim that the Archons are, which is actually code word, I think, for Jew. I mean, that's what I think it is. But because the international Zionism, that they control everything. It's not America controls Israel, but Israel controls America. It's like it reminds me of the Democrats going fucking full retard with this Russian thing, as if the Russian government. The shitty little Russian government. They spend $59 billion on their military compared to, you know, $700 billion for us. They don't have one military base outside their country. They don't have one. We have 980 or some shit, almost 1,000. They don't control us. They didn't control the election. Okay, that's some shit that for some reason people still want to hold on to, and I think it's also a diversion, so we don't ever have to talk about the Koch brothers, and we don't have to talk about Greg Palast, apparently, and we don't have to talk about David Daley, we don't have to talk about vote rigging, we don't have to talk about vote stealing and caging and Chris Kobach, and all the people who, and the Koch brothers literally stealing the presidential election. Go watch Best Democracy Money Back. It's a distraction. So we don't have to talk about that. We'll talk about Vladimir Putin. Oh, what is that connection between, what is Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump? What's their plans? And unless it's some kind of neo-fascism plan that they're planning to get together and rule the world together in some sort of fascist way, what difference does it make what Russia did? I'll tell you the Russian influence is pretty fucking simple. First of all, Russia Today helped Donald Trump get elected, which is fine because they're a news source or they're an information source and they're on YouTube and publicly available, so fine. But they did help, and they're still doing it. I watch people on Russia Today talk about how wonderful Donald Trump is still, because he's being nice to Vladimir Putin. They are kissing our asses. They're kissing Trump's ass because because the American foreign policy has not been exactly kind to Russia. Russia invaded the Ukraine, and that was what America wanted, so America could put further sanctions on them so they can keep them oppressed so they're not a threat to the American business interests and American corporations and American military. Hillary Clinton was wrong about how she wanted to approach Russia, but the idea somehow that Russia influenced the American elections and it's to a degree, it's fucking absurd. And it's a conspiracy theory by leftists. It's like Kim Jong-un killing his brother. It's another wild-ass conspiracy theory by the state, by CNN, by everybody to try to I mean, it's just asinine. But 9/11 don't talk about, all right? JFK assassination, you're nuts. Moon landings, fuck off. 45 years, so what? We're just so America's so far superior to everybody else that fuck it, they're the only ones that could make it to the moon in 45 years. I mean, we had economically, blah, 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 blah. You know, they can't really give you a good reason why. Or they can't give you a reason why NASA just told, I'm going to put this video up and just play it in a loop. When NASA says, and scientists are, this is like a video in 2014, I think, and scientists are trying to figure out a way to get through the Van Allen radiation belt so we can safely put human beings on other bodies, on other planetary bodies. And they say it to kids, and they just keep rolling through. The movie Interstellar says, if Chris Nolan, who used NASA, who worked with NASA on that movie, said, I mean, he writes in his script, he and his brother, oh, you know, the moon landings were a hoax for the Cold War and American exceptionalism. I said that shit. I made a video about that well before that movie was ever made, talking about it was American exceptionalism. That was the whole point. To show, it was for the world, but it was really for the American people, to show how exceptional we were, and how exceptional our military was, and how advanced we were, and how great we were, and how great capitalism was compared to communism and the left. And it was a total mind fuck, is what it was. It was propaganda. I mean, Richard Nixon was fucking president. Enough said. And no other country's done it in 45 years, including us since 1972. Grow up if you really think we went to the moon. But and again, that's a wild conspiracy theory, so, you know, I can't prove that shit, so I'm willing to, I'm one of those conspiracy theorists that's willing to accept that if my theories may be wrong. I'm good with that. I don't give a shit. I wasn't involved in the space program. I wasn't a little kid staring at a picture of the LEM on, you know, or a model of the LEM as a kid and had totally been indoctrinated into that system of propaganda. I remember after 9/11 how much bullshit we were told after 9/11. Patriotism, if you don't agree with this country, get the fuck out. Toby Keith, and the Statue of Liberty will put a boot in your ass. I mean, that kind of fucking shit. That Daryl Worley, where were you? Where were you when the Twin Towers fell? I mean, that's all propaganda. And a good example of this, a good way to look at this is the movie Wag the Dog. If you're interested, the movie Wag the Dog does this great thing with Kenny Rogers. I mean, excuse me, not Kenny Rogers, but Willie Nelson, and he's the Hit King, and he's creating go see the movie Wag the Dog. He's creating a song for the war against Albania that doesn't exist. This was before 9/11. Wag the Dog is one of the most subversive movies ever made, period. I mean, it's absolutely subversive, and it goes into how the government lies to you, and how Hollywood works with it, and it's all one big clusterfuck. And so you have this this increase in the military budget that Trump wants, and all the alternative righties are looking at it and going, well, this makes sense. This is logical, you know. I guess. I mean, Donald Trump is going to, you know, he's taking on the bankers. He's not taking on anybody. NAFTA. Why did you vote for Trump? Because you wanted change, right? You wanted something different. It's why many people voted for Barack Obama. They just wanted somebody outside the system, not in the system. They wanted somebody to change things, and he's not changing shit. He's putting your country more into debt. He's cutting social services, and they're going to go after your retirement. Wait till they come after your fucking Social Security and your retirement. Just wait till they come after Medicaid and Medicare. And they're already getting a Republican lawmakers, which God bless the American people, they're already getting pushback all over these town hall meetings, where these senators, even Mitch McConnell, I mean, people that never had issues before are now getting shit because they're talking about repealing the Affordable Care Act. That horrible Affordable Care Act, which I'm not a fan of all the Affordable Care Act, but it did give 40 million people affordable insurance, and it is a step towards single payer. But so they're getting resistance there because people are terrified that they're not going to have basic social services that their parents had. Plus, if you've got a parent who's in an old folks home, or you have a parent who was sick, which I had one until my mom died, without Medicaid, without Medicare, without Social Security, I don't know how she would have, I don't know what would have happened without some sort of social safety nets. Because unless you are over 60, you don't know this. You cannot get life insurance after health insurance after a certain age because of Medicaid and Medicare. Your risks are so much greater after the age. I used to sell insurance. Your risks are so much greater after the age of 60 that even if we had a full system that was totally privatized and that we had no government assistance, there would still have to be something, because insurance companies would never insure a 60-year-old. They just wouldn't. They go to the hospital way too much. They need way too many surgeries, almost all on medication. And that's a good thing because people were living longer, etc. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm not saying Jesus Christ, But what I'm saying is, unless you're over a certain age, you don't even know how hard it would be to get health insurance. You couldn't get it. That's one of the reasons Social Security, Medicaid and Medicare is so important, especially Medicaid. It's so important that we fund this. And instead of spending $53 billion on the military, give each state $10 billion. Give each state $1 billion. 53 billion. I apologize. I meant if we cut the military budget down to, say, $250 billion, which would still be more than the next 3 countries or something combined spend, we could then give everybody 10 billion. But if you just took that 53 billion, you could give every state $1 billion. Just say, don't have to pay it back. Do whatever you want with it. You could help your schools. You could help your infrastructure. You could help the medical. I mean, it would be a big, and if you took that $1 billion and invested it, you could even make more money on it. Just simple investments, low interest investments. Because $1 billion is a lot of fucking money. You could start your own bank in these states. Each state could start their own bank and have their own investments. I mean, you could do a whole nationalization thing. I don't want to go there. I'm not, I'm a Marxist. So, but $54 billion budget increase for a military budget that's already $700 billion, that just the government accounting office just said they lost $7 trillion. Nobody's held accountable. So they're just going to keep stealing money from us. And the only reason we can't do anything is because those motherfuckers have the guns and the bombs. You're really going to go in and bust a general? Can you imagine the police trying to go into the Pentagon? Thank you for listening, and $54 billion more for the military-industrial complex to keep you enslaved. And by the way, if you're interested, go check out the prison population, okay? And then go check out the amount of soldiers you have. And look at the correlation. They're almost identical. Wonder why that is. Thank you for listening.